This is major breaking news developing right now. At approximately 4 a.m. on the east coast of the United States, while much of the world was asleep, President Donald Trump announced that American forces had launched large-scale military strikes against Iran, a move that may have just pushed the United States and Iran into open conflict. In a pre-recorded video message released suddenly across social media platforms, Trump confirmed that U.S. combat operations were already underway, describing the attacks as decisive action aimed at crippling Iran's military power, eliminating its nuclear capabilities, and reshaping the future of the Iranian government itself. Within minutes of the announcement, reports began emerging from Iran's capital city, Tehran, where residents described massive explosions shaking multiple districts. Videos circulating online appear to show thick smoke rising near highly secured government zones believed to house senior leadership offices, military command infrastructure, and national security facilities. At this stage, officials have not confirmed the full extent of the target struck. However, early intelligence assessments suggest that strategic military installations and possibly high-ranking officials were among the intended objectives. The situation escalated further when Israel confirmed it had launched coordinated strikes alongside the United States, signaling that this was not an isolated operation but a joint military campaign. Israeli defense officials stated that dozens of military targets across Iran had already been hit, with operations expected to continue for several days. As airstrikes intensified, widespread panic reportedly spread across Tehran. The attacks began during the Iranian workday, meaning millions of civilians were awake and commuting when explosions were first heard across the city. Meanwhile, American diplomatic missions throughout the Middle East immediately moved into emergency posture. U.S. embassies in Jordan and the United Arab Emirates ordered all personnel and American citizens to shelter in place amid growing fears of retaliation across the region. And retaliation may already be underway. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps has announced the launch of missiles and drones toward Israeli positions in response to the strikes. Regional defense systems in Israel and neighboring countries have reportedly intercepted several incoming threats, though officials warn the situation remains extremely fluid and dangerous. Back in Washington, reaction from lawmakers has been minimal due to the overnight timing of the operation. However, early criticism has already emerged. Congressman Thomas Massie publicly described the attack as an act of war, carried out without congressional authorization, raising immediate constitutional concerns over presidential war powers. Multiple reports now suggest that many members of Congress were not formally notified prior to the strikes, a development likely to trigger intense political debate in the coming hours. In his overnight address, President Trump acknowledged the possibility of American casualties, stating that losses are sometimes unavoidable in wartime, but arguing the mission was necessary to prevent what he described as the threat of a nuclear-armed Iran. He also delivered one of the most controversial statements of the night, directly addressing the Iranian population and encouraging them to take control of their government once military operations conclude. Language widely interpreted by analysts as an open call for regime change. The Pentagon has reportedly designated the campaign as Operation Epic Fury, though officials have released very few operational details, leaving analysts and global leaders scrambling to understand the true scale of the mission. Military experts warn that this moment could represent the most serious escalation between the United States and Iran in decades, with the potential to expand beyond a limited strike into a prolonged regional conflict involving multiple nations. Oil markets, global stock futures, and defense sectors are already expected to react sharply as trading opens, while governments across Europe and Asia prepare emergency security briefings. At this hour, critical questions remain unanswered. How long will the military campaign last? Will Iran expand retaliation beyond Israel? Could American troops across the Middle East now become direct targets? And most importantly, does this mark the beginning of a wider war? World leaders are expected to issue statements within the next several hours, as intelligence agencies continue monitoring developments in real time. This is a rapidly evolving situation, and information is changing by the minute. Stay tuned for continuing coverage as more confirmed details emerge.